After what appeared to be a successful 2016 season for Obaika Racing, making 32 of 33 races with the primary 97 car, and even starting a second car, the number 77, which made 10 out of 14 attempts, the offseason into 2016 and starting in 2017 looked very promising. It was announced that Obaika would field the number 77 full-time for driver Stephen Light, and the number 97 full-time for a driver who had not been named yet. However, come Daytona, things had spiraled completely out of control, to an unbelievable extent, and thanks to a couple of former NASCAR crew members whom I'll keep anonymous, we're here to tell the story of Obaika Racing's very wacky road to Daytona in 2017. So where do we start? Victor Obaika, by the end of 2016, wasn't the most trusted person in the garage, and many felt he was so off the walls and out of touch with how he runs his team. One of the former Obaika employees told a funny question. What the hell did one of his original drivers tell him to get him so into NASCAR? Good question. Following the finale race at Miami, where rookie Josh Bilicki finished a decent 34th in 97, the number 77 of Ryan Ellis failed to qualify, everyone on the team was laid off, with nothing but updates to all of his cars for the upcoming 2017 season. Why would Obaika need to pay his guys to get the jump on them? To Victor's credit, it's common practice in all divisions to shut down from Thanksgiving to just after New Year's. And Obaika fired his crew chief because of, well, multiple issues with him. So what now? Obaika brought in another crew chief who ended up working a total of 4 days before saying screw this due to Victor's incompetence. During that time, the new crew chief had organized a deal in which Victor got all of Rick Ware's Xfinity equipment, as Rick had planned to go cup racing in the 2017 season, as well as a car to the chassis shop to get the Super Speedway chassis updates made for 2017. The 4-day crew chief's replacement? Well, none other than Derek Cope. There were many issues there, though. More to Derek working in his own deals, finalizing the closure of his own Xfinity team, and working on his cup return to Premium Motorsports. Worst of all was a rumor that a week after Derek had started there, that Cope was supposedly fired after Victor got hold of all of his contacts. Now that he had his people, why would he need Derek? Speculation, sure, that this is hearsay, but I wouldn't put it past Victor. So pretty much the entire month of January was a revolving door of personnel, all leaving shortly due to issues with the team and lack of direction. Meanwhile, PR person on social media had announced Stephen Light as the lead driver for one of their 2 planned full-time cars. Plenty of racing stuff in the shop, just no tools or parts to finish anything. And no hauler. Oh yeah, the truck and trailer he supposedly had bought from TriStar the previous season was repossessed after Miami, after, you guessed it, lack of payment. Questions started rising about if they would even make it to the track. The poor engine tuner was pretty much running the shop because he had the most experience on the team, but not nearly enough for that position. Fast forward now to a week from Daytona, the second planned car was scrapped, and they are mainly focusing on the 97. Still nothing was assembled. One employee was convinced to move back to North Carolina from Michigan and was pretty much living at the shop. A former employee of Carter 2 SR2, he said Obaika was worse than both combined, which really says a lot. Somehow, longtime crew chief Dan Stillman was brought out of retirement and re-enlisted as the crew chief. Tuesday before Daytona, at lunchtime, they get an update from the homeless employee. Daytona car is sitting on jack stands, no engine, no transmission, no rear gear, no truck arms, still no hauler. Car has to be at Daytona Wednesday morning. Somehow, Victor patches a relationship with an engine builder out of Atlanta due to lack of payment from the previous season. Still no trailer. Who comes in to help? Then K&N West Series veteran Dale Quarterly. He's sent to Rick Ware to borrow one of his haulers, but returns with none due to lack of payment from the stuff Rick had purchased the previous year. Tuesday, 9 p.m. rolls around, and the haulers at Daytona are supposed to park at 7 a.m. the next morning. It's a 7.5-hour drive in the big truck, and most teams have already arrived. There's still 10 to 15 hours of work to do on the car. Quarterly is forced to make the call that the hauler will miss the scheduled time of hauler parking. Dale is somehow convinced to use his own personal hauler. At the time, Dale had one of the old school converted mobile moving trailers that he used back in his Busch Series North deal. Dan at this point has quit because, quite honestly, it's a lost cause, and who could blame him? 5 a.m. rolls around while everyone is sleeping in their hotels or tractor trailers. Obaika is finally loaded in the trailer with a slapped-together car, and they take off for Daytona. While everyone else is unloading within a couple hours, it was pretty obvious that they were banking on their provisionals from the 2016 owner points, knowing that qualifying was going to be a struggle. The garage opens at 10:30 a.m. Obaika gets there sometime between 1 and 2 p.m. They unload the car, and it is a mess. Slapped together with parts they had around the shop, it's revealed they never had a setup. The left front spindle angle was all wrong. The tire rod is crashing into the upper control arm through the chassis. They struggled to get the car through undercar tech, and they leave the night still on jack stands in tech. All other entries have made it through tech and are ready to go to practice or go back through tech just to see if they have some issues fixed. The next day it comes to light that Stephen Light paid $50,000 for Daytona and has more money waiting for additional races. It's not looking like he might return. The team struggles to get the car even ready for practice. From reference photos online, the car doesn't physically look ready, despite the team thrashing their hardest. Victor's reputation has sadly caught up to him as multiple owners refused to help provide the team with parts. He offers one more money for parts, and the owner tells him if he knew Victor had the money in the first place, he would give him the parts. Victor had made promises to that owner in the past that he had never fulfilled. It turns out that there's an issue with the left front brake caliper, so the team is forced to pull it off and the cap line's off. Yep, there's only 3-wheel brakes on the car. Obaika missed the first practice entirely and barely made it onto the track for 3 miserable laps in the final practice, slowest of all the cars from both practice sessions. If they had failed to turn a lap, there was a chance NASCAR would not have let them qualify. Somehow, Obaika made it through qualifying tech. They were still working on the car in impound, and they were the first car to qualify. Short of another team's mechanical problems that prevented a lap, 97 of the Stephen Light was by far the slowest of the 43 cars that made a qualifying lap on track, being over a second slower than even the next car in front of him. Obaika didn't have the provisionals they thought they had and failed to qualify after all that hard work and screwing over so many people. Next week is Atlanta is not even close to being done. Will they make it to Atlanta? Will Stephen Light return? Only time will tell. To answer the question, they did return at Atlanta, but start and parking every race, even having a hard crash at Las Vegas, and would scale back their efforts to even shutting down the organization after just 7 races into the 2017 season. Note that this is not a hit piece on Victor Obaika. It's just telling the story of a team owner who didn't know how to properly run a NASCAR team. Unfortunately, Victor wasn't the first, and likely won't be the last sketchy team owner in NASCAR. Thank you guys for enjoying this video. I hope you like it. Like and subscribe, and take care.